this later. All right, we are now recording. Let's do this again. All right, we are in week 5. This week we have a discussion post as we are highlighting chapter 7 and 8 this week. And this discussion post is going to talk about monasteries. And you guys ever heard the word monastery before?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good. I heard Ramona and I think Carl. Oh, I see Nicholas already answered it, so I won't share too much there. And so monasteries, many European churches began to form these monasteries. And so in your discussion post, you're going to say, what is a monastery? What was the purpose of those monasteries? And I'm curious, would you think a monastery would be popular in 2021? You know, what do you think? Do you think we need them this? Do you think we need them in 2021? Hey, we're in Atlanta and we don't see monasteries. So think about it. What do you think that would do if they were around in our local neighborhoods or local places? Later on in our presentation today, we're going to talk about chapters 7 and 8. So just hang tight. And I think I got through all of your first Christian history video reflection papers. And not anybody that's on right now, but for those people who are watching, we have a couple of folks a part of this class who have not turned in a paper. And if you have not turned in a paper, we have a few students who are not turning in assignments. And I can't say it enough that if you're not turning in assignments, it's going to greatly impact your grade. And I can't give grades for what you didn't turn in. So for those folks, especially the ones who are watching this video later, I need you to contact me if you're having issues, if you're having internet problems, whatever the situation is. But you can't be in this course and you're just, doing stuff when you feel like doing it. That doesn't work. So anyway, for those people who turned in the first Christian history video reflection paper, I have to honestly say, all of you did an extremely great job. You summarized it. The summaries were just out of this world. I could tell that you stopped. And actually, let's just talk about the first video real quick. Let's talk about that first video. We touched on it last week. Anybody want to add anything or that you learned, were shocked about? No? Okay. Well, your papers were reflective of excellent work, and I could tell all of you, not just one or two of you. Sometimes with assignments like that, people don't do their best, but I was really impressed by every student that turned them in. You took the time, you pressed pause, you stopped and you rewind, and I could tell that you were paying attention. Here's the second video. It's by Mr. Parr as well. And I like his videos because I myself learn so much, and he breaks things down in just a regular, everyday way of talking. Sometimes when I find videos for my students to watch, it's difficult because, you find a lot of heavy, weighty people and they're talking all up in the clouds and I can't even figure out what they're saying, and I'm trying to figure it out and hold a dictionary at the same time. So I wouldn't dare give you something like that where you're shaking your head trying to figure it out. Anyway, the second video is equally interesting. You guys are going to take a look at that. I believe this one deals with how he takes it up a notch, and after the history video, he talks a little bit what happened where, in the early church, they started breaking off because they had different beliefs. And so in the second video, he talks more about how did we get all of these different Christian denominations, and he goes through them historically and things like that. So enjoy. And if you're looking at the screen, so you're going to see that video link right here. Okay. And you're going to give a 1 to 2 page, double spaced summary of that video. You're going to tell what you found interesting in that video. Maybe you found something new in the video. And I liked, as I was listening and reading your papers. Hold on one second. Good morning, Brian. As I was reading your papers, you guys were bringing up things and saying, hey, I never knew this. I had always wondered about X, Y, and Z, and now I know. I'm pulling up your video, your PowerPoint. Hold on one second. If you guys want to add any reflections, you can do so while I'm pulling this up. Y'all, excuse me, my throat is just itching. Okay. All right, I'm coming back to you, class. Let me also make this announcement for students that are in the Religious Studies Certificate Program. We are working on, thanks, Carl, I got your message. I have a meeting on Friday with the dean, and so we're working on what we can possibly offer in terms of classes for summer and fall. So if you don't get scared or pull your hair out or anything, so things are still kind of working their way out. COVID-19 really kind of did a number on us with the enrollment. So we're kind of picking up and seeing what we can do in terms of moving forward. So you guys just hang tight. And if you don't see the class just yet, I will touch bases with you after Friday, after my meeting. All right, I'm going to share my screen. And we are going to chat on chapter 7 and 8. If you have your book, go ahead. You can pull it out. I'm on page 56. All right, so one thing I do want to warn you about is, when we're reading this book, in your history book, there is so much to history and so much to Christian history, right? So your book does a really good job of kind of touching on the things that are important. All right, let me just do a little test. Let me know if you can see my screen and it says 7th century sees changes.
Yes.
All right, that's a tongue twister. All right. All right, y'all, so we're moving into the 7th and 8th century. We are seeing the church grow. Remember, last week, we saw the church kind of split, and we talk about the early church here. We saw the church kind of split into this thing called East and West. Remember, geographically, we're talking about, we're not, some students are like, well, East and West, what, United States? No, United States is not even heard of just yet. We are in Rome. We're in that particular area. So kind of like think about Middle Eastern geographical area. Okay, so don't think about the United States just yet. We're nowhere near, we're nowhere near this part of history just yet. We're coming. All right, so the Eastern Empire becomes, remember, so we have the Eastern Empire and we have West. And the Eastern Empire is becoming more Greek. And Constantinople, do you remember from last week who Constantinople was named after? It was the emperor.
Constantine.
Constantine, very good. Who was that?
Nicholas.
I can't see who's talking. Who was talking? Okay. I'm sorry, student. I didn't know who was talking. I heard your voice. I just wanted to say good job. All right. So Constantinople was named after Constantine. You're right. And this is modern day Turkey. So this is where Turkey is located now. All right. But now we're in the 7th century. And I want you to kind of imagine what's going on. You've got Christianity that is growing and moving and changing. And you also have a new religion coming on the scene. And sometimes and this is just me, this is just Miss Berry. Sometimes I don't want to say new religion because, excuse me, y'all. We don't really know because it could have been going on and maybe they just didn't know. So maybe this religion had already been in practice and maybe people weren't quite sure. But anyway, there was a new religion they say had been moving and progressing, and this is going to be the bedrock of Islam. And so they start to see in the 7th century, excuse me, you start to see the Prophet Muhammad is starting this new wave, this new religion. Okay, and so now Christianity and Islam are existing at the same time, existing and growing at the same time. All right, so as we start to, y'all let me know if y'all see me change because I'm getting scared. It should say Babio Monastery.
Yes.
All right. I'm getting scared from last week. I kept changing this slide and y'all were like, what? Okay. And remember, monasteries were places where individuals would come and study, but it was also a place for, look at the second point there, scholarship. And, you know, I'm going to see if I can pull this picture up. The Babio Monastery was he was started by an Irish abbot. And the abbot is more so like a maybe like a priest. And this abbot started this monastery in northern Italy. Watch this, in 612. And so this monastery was a place to, yes, for the monks to worship, but also a place of scholarship. What does that word say to you, scholarship? What do you think that would be?
Say that question again.
Yes. It says that this Babio Monastery, I'm going to show you a picture of it over here on the right. That's modern day. Of course, they didn't have cars back then, but it was also a place or a center for scholarship. What do you think that means?
That scholarship to me is where people are, well, it wouldn't have been people, it would have been men, come together to learn. They may use it to copy certain things to make sure that it's one version, to actually make a standard of certain practices.
That's
what I think.
Very good. So if you guys are following with me on the bottom of page 56, this monastery it became really famous. Almost think of it like a library, a place of learning, a place of teaching. And it said became famous as a center for scholarship, the collection of manuscripts, and the production of such works as Columbanus, I know I'm saying that wrong, penitential, and the influential monastic rules. So they wrote books. So it was a place of really smart people who came together to write. If you were looking for a book, if you were looking for information, that was the place to go. All right, come on with me. So the church is beginning to grow. And one thing I want you to understand, even to where we are today in 2021, right? Oh, think about it, 2,000 plus years from what we're studying right here. Isn't that awesome to think of how church, the religion has grown and moved. So if you look at the first point here, Christianity moves. So that means it's moving from place to place. And so I'm on page 57, 58. We see it move into Ireland, Scotland, British territories, Welsh Christianity. Celtic Christians focus more on the monasteries rather than having one big church. And so monks were men who belonged to the monasteries, and these monks devoted their life to God. So that's all they did. They didn't have like another job. They also made monks practice this particular practice called tonsuring. 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 And this was the practice of cutting off one's hair to represent humility. So if you see the gentleman right up here in the picture, you see where they're bald at the top and well, they have some hair on the side.
I always thought that was to keep the lights down. I really did. I really did. All my life I thought, oh, they must have done that.
Well, now we know, right?
Now I know the truth.
Exactly. And I'm gonna tell you too, Ramona, I wasn't sure until I read myself. So now we know. Let me just backtrack a little bit to the whole practice of it. So monks were just that. They were humble people. They didn't wear suits, and they they didn't wear designer shoes, and have a look at their hair. Hey, they cut it down in a certain way. It wasn't beautiful. Humility. What does that say to you, to go to that length to alter hair? What does that say to you about the monks? Do you think that they were serious about I don't want to say their job, but their purpose?
Yeah, they would be dedicated if you did that, or they truly feared God and wanted to. But I don't know. Okay, I will talk about that another time.
Okay. Okay.
You can fear God and not be a monk. You can be humble and not be a monk. There's so many things you
Oh,
can't
sure.
do and not be a monk. I just don't understand.
Right. And that's true. But in their particular
Yeah.
calling, right, monks, nuns, they wear a certain attire, but they don't call attention to themselves, do they?
They call attention to themselves because they don't look like everybody else.
They don't look like everybody else, no.
So they really stand out. Because they don't.
But they didn't want to, not standing out in terms of, ooh, look at those shoes,
Yeah.
All right, good job, everybody. So we're talking about Christianity moving. It's moving, it's going to different places. Celtic Christianity came about in about the 4th century in Ireland, Celtic. And I want you to look at the images down at the bottom. Before Christianity in Ireland, they practiced a religion as complex as the Romans did. Romans served different gods, okay? And so remember, way back, that was their problem. The Romans had a problem with Christians because they were like, wait a minute, we serve these different gods and you have one God. What's up with that? So Christianity started to move and grow in Ireland around the 5th and 6th centuries. And I want you to see some of their symbols. On the left is a symbol of the Trinity. So if you look right here, look on the left. And I wish I could draw on here. So, okay, so let me see. There's a circle right here. Okay. And then you have, kind of confusing, but here's one right here, kind of like another knot. And then that one goes into this one up here, but they're all intertwined, right? And if you've ever seen that symbol, and then look over at the right, okay, that's a symbol. On the right is the symbol of their cross. So I just wanted you to see, for example, over here, more so like in the United States, the cross that you will see more often will not have that circle in the middle. Roman Catholic cross, excuse me, will have a cross, and they'll normally have Jesus' body on the cross. Okay, so anyway, those are just some different symbols. All right, so let's talk about how it's moving. It's moving. Now Christianity is moving into China. So you see where we're moving. I'm on page 59. We're not quite in the United States yet. We're coming. So the Apostle Thomas, they think Thomas may have traveled to China. And the first historical evidence they had of Christianity in China is this. Everybody see if you can look right here. See this big stone on the right? This is a picture of and I know I'm going to probably mess this up, the Xianfu stone. Xianfu stone. And if you have your book, it's also on page 59. And they believe that on the bottom of page 59 is a description of the stone. And they say this monument was erected around 781. And it recounts the arrivals of in 635 of a missionary named Alopen, right? And which may possibly be a version of the name Abraham. Okay, and it says that Alopen, this missionary, came from the Church of the East and settled in the Tang Dynasty. And it said that the Chinese church began to flourish. But here's the thing. Everybody go down to my third point and let's chat about this real quick. The Chinese church had a problem because they did not have a Bible in their language at that time. And so it was just oral information being shared with the individuals. So it was a little bit difficult for the religion to flourish in the beginning because they didn't have a formal Bible. So let's just pause. Somebody talk to me. How do you think having an actual Bible in their language could have helped them in the beginning when Alopen came as a missionary?
It probably could have spread the religion, the practice, the purpose, the story of Jesus and all of that. It probably may have spread much quicker, may have been less resistance from other established spiritual practices at the time too, if they could see what was written. And also it would have given no, not worthiness, but a substantial backing to say this guy, they didn't just come over here with something they made up.
Right.
Actually, some substantial backing. It already has some history. That type of situation would have been an easier foundation.
Easier foundation. Very good. Thanks, Ramona. Anybody else want to chime in?
Oh,
Go ahead.
right. It does seem like had the Bible been in their place, I feel like there would have been some resistance to it. I kind of feel, given that, I guess it seemed like they might have been a bit less weary to change their own culture about this new introduction. I feel like that might disrupt any current dynasties at the time who might not have had minister sympathy to a new religion.
Sure. Oh, no, good. That's a good point. Those are really good points. So, and we're just speculating, right? When it's an oral interpretation, or, you know, when you're sharing oral history, the person is just saying, this is what you do. But if we had oral instruction and something for them to read, then maybe, so Carl said maybe they could read it and challenge it. That's interesting. Good. All right, good points. Good points. All right. So let's talk about, remember, so we have Christianity and Islam are existing at the same time. So remember, in areas, one thing I want you to understand, if you guys had the Old Testament course with me, but if not, it'll come up. The people would just move from place to place, and sometimes people would be like, why are you in my place? And then you would get these wars or conflicts. I'm gonna say conflicts, not wars. All right, so Muslims start to move into different territories, just as Christians started to move in different territories, right? So the Muslims are moving into different territories as well. All right, so you have Muslim Arab armies. They start to move in and take over territories that were Christian. And by 638 in Jerusalem, which was mostly Christian, was under Muslim control. They also took over Alexandria in Egypt. Okay. Now, once again, history always repeats itself. Y'all remember back when the early church was beginning, and then they would be fine, and then there would be a conflict. They would be fine, and then there would be a conflict. And then they start to meet about it, and then they would talk about it. Well, then you have this talking again. We have a council, the Quinisec Council, and they and they met to talk about it, because they were like, look, we've got to find a way to exist together. We can't just keep hurting each other. Uh-oh. Now, I apologize. I'm trying to make this a little larger, but I'm going to read what's on the screen. I'm moving into chapter 8, and I want to talk about a word. If you're in chapter 8, I want to talk about a word that's down at the bottom of page 65. And it's called iconoclasm. Iconoclasm. It's down at the bottom of page 65. 64, 65, okay? So let me go over this real quick, and we're gonna start a little conversation. I got something I want to show you. Icons. Anybody heard of the word of an icon? I-C-O-N-S?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's an icon?
Kind of like a logo that represents something, right?
Yeah, it could represent something. It could be something that could be a representation of a person. Okay, good. Down at the bottom of page 64, I want you to catch this. Jewish and Muslim religions strictly forbade the use of images in the worship of God. Okay, so let's go back here. And I'm at the top of the page, top of your screen, where it's like a black square. Jewish and Muslim religions strictly forbade the use of images in the worship of God. Okay, so let's unpack that. So I'm not asking you if you agree or not, but let's unpack their reasoning. Why do you think, and if you go up to the top of page 65, why? Why did they forbid the use of an image? an icon, you know.
Keep you from before this and previous history always of all types of worship. They were actually worshiping the image. You had all these various guys from Rome and whatnot, and even in Egypt and whatnot, and they were worshiping multitudes, and they were forcing the people to worship what they worship, who they worship, what they say, what it's supposed to look like, and all of that. So this is a big change because we're not it's changing the mindset of the people. We're not worshiping an image. You're not praying to a statue. You're not praying to a stone or something like that. You're praying to God, and that was one of the things is you're not worshiping icons.
Okay. All right. So not the icon, because the icon, if you go up to the top of page 65, it was made of, let's say, maybe it was made of plastic, maybe it was made of clay, maybe it was made of stone, right? Over time, the stone is going to fall apart, the plastic is going to crack, the gold might need to be shined. Okay. So
Probably because like it's a form of idolatry as well.
Right. Exactly. So that's the word. Was that Brian?
Yes.
Okay. So Brian actually brings us to the green square. In 726, Emperor Leo, and I'm on page 65, declared that veneration, and veneration means to honor something. He said veneration of icons was wrong and idolatrous. He's like, y'all, wait, hold on. Okay, so remember, that's what they said. And Leo also, this is on page 65, you know what he did? He ordered all images to be destroyed in an iconoclastic purge. That's a long word, isn't it? Iconoclastic. Remember, iconoclasm deals with icons. Y'all remember that word? Okay. So I want y'all to remember, as the religions start to grow and they start to move from place to place, from culture to culture, somebody says, wait a minute, I've got a little, let me see if y'all can see my little angel. Can y'all see my little angel?
Yes.
Okay. So this is my little angel, my little guardian angel I have on here. It's a little crystal angel. I don't know who gave me this, but I keep it on my desk as a reminder, you know, an encouragement. But so say, for example, if we're back in 7th, 8th century and we had this little crystal angel and we are saying, okay, we're going to worship the crystal angel today. So that's what Emperor Leo was saying. No, don't do that. He said that was wrong. So I want you to remember that veneration of, I want you to catch this, of a saint. No, go to the top of the page, the square that's blue. Veneration or veneration of saints is the act of honoring a saint or a person who has been identified as having a high degree of sanctity. And I just had my angel, right? Angels are shown similar veneration in many religions, okay? Not just Christianity, but monks, did you get this? I thought this was really odd, that the monks defended icons. The monks wanted to support having the icons. I thought that was going to be different for them. Okay, so we're almost there. All right, y'all. So remember, every so often, we keep having these words right here. A council. Y'all remember that word? What's a council?
In the past, they had they had many councils to come together to decide one particular either theology,
Right.
or one particular behavior.
Right.
Shall do. This is what we shall all say that this is what we shall get behind. That type of thing. That's what they had those councils for.
There you go. So over history, you'll have these councils that will come together. All right, now look at my little timeline here. Over 300 bishops came to the council. Now, I thought this was powerful because remember, y'all, this is not 2021, and we don't have internet. We can't send a Zoom link. We can't get on the airplane and all of that stuff that we can do now. I want y'all to catch this. 300 individuals came, church leaders or bishops came. So this is really powerful. They had to walk or get a horse or however they got there. And what was the result? So the result of the Second Council of Nicaea said that the honoring of an icon was a matter of respect and admiration. So I got my little angel, right? So they say, okay, well, if you honor it, that was respect and admiration. But go down to the green rectangle. But they say, but absolute admiration, or the highest admiration, was reserved for God alone. So once again, it's not, you might have different opinions or whatever, but just know, as we're studying history, there are just so many different opinions about so many different things. And here now they have this argument about icons, statues. Do we worship the statue? Do we not worship the statue? Are there certain things in a church building that we should admire or respect? And so they're trying to figure out, what do we do with all this stuff? But they said, well, you can, but the absolute admiration is for God, the creator.
How do they translate that into for the lay person? I know, oh my goodness, was it Buddhist? I thought they were praying to the Buddha until I watched something on there's a Japanese channel, and they talked about Buddha and Buddhism, and they were not praying to him.
To him.
Yeah, they don't. That's not what they do. But as somebody just watching and I thought all the time that's what they were praying to. They were praying to the statue. They were not. They were paying their respect, but they were not praying to Buddha.
They were not praying to Buddha. Okay, so that's really interesting. And I apologize, I don't know too much about Buddhism, but that's a really good point about Buddhism, that they weren't praying to the actual statue, but the statue, or the replica, should I say, was a representation of, but their honor seemed like, or their prayers would go to their God. Okay. All right, y'all. So we're here at the end, and I want you to just make sure you get in your head, we're not United States yet. No. We're moving into Germany, and I'm gonna get let me get a map out real quick. So I want you to see how Christianity is moving from continent to another continent. So we were like Middle Eastern, and so now we're moving into Asia, to China. We talked about China, right? And into Germany. And so I want you to remember Boniface. Look at the number 1 box, Boniface. He was known as the Apostle of Germany. And I thought this was really interesting. Did you know that he tried to convert Germanic tribes? And these tribes weren't Christians. So he went and he shared Christianity with them, and attempted to, convert some people to that religion, to the Christian religion. In the second box, the Franks were a German tribe. You ever heard of the Franks? And they were led by a man named Charles Martel. And they flourished in Germany until about 732, until they had Muslim invaders. Okay, so I'm telling you, it's really interesting. People get into one territory, right? And then something happens, and then another group moves into the territory. So it's really interesting to see throughout history how different groups fight for space sometimes. All right, we're still talking about Germany. The church begins to fall a little bit in the 700s, moving toward 800. These churches have problems. And I want to talk about this. Let's open up a little discussion. It says high church offices were sold for money to the highest bidder or given to those with political favors. So, you were trying to get out of that jail sentence or something, and maybe they offered money to the priest or something to get out of jail or something like that. I'm going to stop this real quick, and I need to pull up something for you. Let's unpack that. And that's kind of where I want to open up a little bit about mistrust and folks doing things the wrong way. And remember, y'all, this isn't 2020. This isn't 1970s. This isn't the 1800s. This is, look at the date, 700s. And they're showing off. Does that strike you as odd?
Isn't this one of the reasons what led to the fact that the Catholic Church ended up not having the priests and bishops and whatnot getting married because of some of this that was going on, and they did not want people to be concerned about the inheritance. You could not inherit different church properties and that type of thing, and why it's set up the way it is now because of some of these behaviors that went on. And you could say some churches some of this today.
Yeah, I'm not sure I ran across anything like that regarding in the Catholic Church regarding them not getting married because of the property. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
I haven't seen that in my studies. The not getting married portion was, more so to keep the person focused on God, that they were married to God. You know what I'm saying? That was their that was their relationship. Oh, but that's another conversation in itself. Yes, ma'am. All right. Anybody else want to jump in there? There was something I wanted to show you, the Bobbio Monastery, while I'm pulling this up. Okay. Okay. All right. I'm coming back to you. And I just want you to see this monastery as we talk a little bit more about their purpose. Coming back to you now. All right. I'm sharing.
That face that is usually covered by her phone.
Okay. I just want you to see, we won't watch the whole thing. In the beginning of our presentation today, we talked about the Bobbio Monastery. Bobbio Monastery. And monasteries were place of learning. They were for the monks to live and to serve. And I'm going to just play this so that you can see it. So we're going to almost take a little visit to Italy. Look at how beautiful it is. And of course, it's been renovated. Look at the inside. Isn't that gorgeous?
It is.
Look at the ceiling. Now, I want you to pay attention to a couple of things in our tour. To icons, 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 icons. You see any? There's one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I see.
Okay, also, wait a minute, let me see. If you can look right here to the right of this, I'm not sure what it is, but there's some statues right here. See those? Those could be. And so throughout the monastery, you see representations. Okay, so we're going to stop here. You see beautiful art, representations, statues, and as we said, replicas or icons of religious figures. So remember back in our presentation, let me stop share here. It was interesting that the monks were able, excuse me, it was interesting that the monks supported and wanted icons. All right, so we're going to pause right here. I know I've been talking a lot. Any questions?
Nothing here.
Okay. So remember, in chapters 7 and 8, we start to see the church move. Oh, I know, I was pulling up a map, but we start to see the church move from not just in the Middle East. Let me see here. Let's see if I can find a map, but into, let's see if I can get a map real quick. Okay, I'm coming back to you real quick. I'm gonna let you go. See if I can pull this map up. Okay, can y'all see my map?
Yes.
Okay, now I just picked any map and it just says 2016. I don't know what it is, but I just wanted you to see a map real quick. So I want you to see where my cursor is right here. I wish I could draw on this.
Yes.
And that's kind of where we started. And then you see Christianity start to move to the north, We go, you know, Germany to the east. Okay. And later, and I want to say more so in the chapter 9 or so, we're going to talk about how it moves into Africa, Ireland, going towards the north to Ireland, to Germany, to England. Okay. So also, so think about people didn't have trains and airplanes. How do you think they got around?
Mostly on their feet.
On their feet. So check it out. So they walked, or got on horses or whatever, but they probably walked most of the way on land that was connected, you know? So a lot of students say, well, oh, United States, wait, they couldn't get to us. We're all the way over there. They had to get on boats and figure out how they could get across Africa to get on some type of boat to get over to us. So that happened later. Okay. All right, everyone. All right, we're going to pause right here. We did pretty good. And I am looking forward to reading your second historical video paper. So you guys start looking at that video, and I hope that you learn lots more. Now, of course, that second video is going to skip thousands of years later, but it'll give you a good, more modern history of why we have different types of Christian churches in our neighborhoods. All right. All right, everyone. All have a good week. Please continue to stay safe. They say these numbers are trying to creep up again. Keep your mask on. Got to get this thing out of here.
Mm-hmm.